Chandra or Chandrasekhar CSK as the speaker or CSK as the leader. So just to give you a glimpse of what CSK is as a speaker is that CSK has spoken for more than 50,000 people throughout the 4 continents and is ranked in one of the top 1% of the group, that is 300 leading professionals globally. So he's a global speaker. Okay, Dr. Chandra has delivered more than 900 presentations to audiences of all sizes, sharing great strategies on leadership, the motivation for the youth, and the communication in education as well. CSK's highly acclaimed book, that is The Right Way Leader Pocketbook, is taking youth, that is us, by storm and is becoming a staple to the people. CSK is lobbying insightful and practical advice to corporate organizations like the CII, that is Young Indians, and social institutions like Toastmasters International as well. So CSK, as he is popularly known in our fraternity, also will show the audience, that is today, how to create win-win situations, scenarios in all their professional relationships as well. So that is one of the small introduction of Chandrasekhar as the speaker. Now, what is Chandra as a leader? Is that he serves as the chief executive officer of the Jain Group of International Schools or Institutions, that is JGI schools, that is globally established organization. He is also the Rex Karmavir Global Education Change Champions Fellow in 2019 and was ranked as the 7th in the Education World's ranking of 33 young rising stars of Indian education in March 2017. One second, one second. Sorry for that interruption. CSK is also currently on the mission of CII Young Indians National Management Team as the chair of thought leadership and a TEDx speaker and a president distinguished district director of Toastmasters International. So just to give you, I'm diverting on small things, but I've seen Chandra as the president of his club. I've seen Chandra as the division governor, as the lieutenant governor marketing, as the lieutenant governor education and training, and also the district governor that is now converted into district director. So that I've seen Chandra as one of the top leaders in the organizations. So Chandra is also the alumnus of IIM Lucknow, and he did his PhD from Institute of Milan in education services. So CSK is also on the mission to more impact of 1 million children through his work and wants to leverage his experience in the education sector to build a better schooling system in India. That Chandra is explained as leader, as a speaker, but I have seen Chandra as on a different pattern as well. That is Chandrasekhar DP as a mentor, right? And I would just like to say one thing that comes in my mind when is relevant about the today's session as well. When I was the area director 2 years back, Chandrasekhar took our district officers training program and he took the session of conflict management 2 years back. Okay, till today I remember each and every word that he spoke for that 1 hour session. So that is the impact that Chandrasekhar brings to the table. Because of his vast experience that he has, maybe that is why some parts, which no matter how small they look, but they impact in a very much major manner with all of us. So that is just a tip of the iceberg that Chandra, what I've explained about Chandra. But now, before taking all of your time, I'll hand over the stage to Dr. Chandrasekhar to take forward with the second series. Chandra, just 1 second. Just to inform you why we started the series named as the Vivekananda series. Just because uh, Swami Vivekananda is considered as the national youth icon, right? And this is the youth wing of Rotary. So we thought that why not enhance or why not leverage his name in bringing something else or something good with ourselves also. And let's bring this energy, youth energy, to impact as many lives as we can. So that is why we named this series as the Vivekananda series, and this is going to be the chapter 2 of that. So Dr. Chandra, every floor is all yours now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rohan, and thank you for this introduction, a very warm introduction and quite a lengthy one. And thank you, Sanket Agarwal, the presiding president of the club, and the person who led the meeting till now. It's an honor, it's a great privilege, and it's also my humble, respect to you all that I got an opportunity to speak in the Swami Vivekananda series. So I really want to thank you for this opportunity. And also, I am equally excited to speak to all of you young people. And maybe I may not be looking so young like you all, but it's always a pleasure to talk to young people, and I see almost uh, multiple clubs, the Rotaract clubs across the geography of India have been represented in this particular forum. Around 70 of us are here on this Sunday morning, and it's always exciting to interact and share ideas and thoughts. And personally, for me, that's the whole reason why I said yes to this. Is one, Rohan has been a very, very good friend and a fellow Toastmaster in the fraternity. And two, it's an opportunity for me. What better way than spending a Sunday morning with young, exuberant, enthusiastic, excited people so that I can go back and recharge myself, and maybe the next week looks even more brighter, because when you are at a state where you are so energetic, you cannot feel dull, dejected, or depressed, because the energy takes over. So thanks once again for this great opportunity. And I must appreciate all of you, whoever has been instrumental in putting together this lecture series and naming it rightly as the Vivekananda lecture series, because I cannot agree more when you say that Swami Vivekananda, has been the youth icon for ages now. And the one thing which I remember about him is he is a voice without a form. Whatever he said and went, even to this day, it resonates for all of us. It keeps kind of echoing in our hearts, in our minds, and also people around us. So that's the power of the spoken word which Swamiji stood for. So I really appreciate you. In fact, actually, I thought I'll ask you a question, all of you a question to begin with, but I won't. I will actually start with the quote, because that's the tribute I want to pay for Swamiji, Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda's famous quote, this is my favorite quote. He said, always take risks in life. And this is more pertinent for all of us youth. Always take risks in life, because if you succeed, you can lead, and if you fail, you can guide. Yeah. So that's the power of the man. You take risks no matter what, and if you win, you can always lead, and if you fail by any chance, it's okay, you can guide and tell people. Like Thomas Edison said, when somebody asked, oh, 999 times you failed before inventing the electric bulb, and Edison turned back and said, yeah, but I think I did not fail 999 times. I actually found out 999 ways of not inventing the electric bulb. And today I can tell you that don't try those 999 ways. Instead, try this one way and you get the bulb glowing. So you can always guide people if you fail, and if you win, you can always lead. Now, with this, I really want to get started with all of you with a question. And I see around 69, 70 people present here, both video and non-video participants. And I want this session to be interactive. Rohan knows me, and the way I talk to people, it's not one-way traffic, it's always interaction. And in this kind of a scenario where we are connecting on the digital platform, it's always better that we have more interaction. So I would promise you that I will keep it as interacting as possible. So I would start off by you all requesting you to use the chat window. Now, my question to you is, what is the one word which is on your mind right now? One word which is on your mind right now. Go ahead and type that word in the chat window. Go ahead. That's kind of setting the context. Okay. I started getting the word success. Okay. Any word, whatever is on your mind. Come on, I have 70 people. I need to see 70 words. It should keep flooding. Work. Okay. Bring it on. Fitness, confidence. Very good. Empathy. Okay. Limitless. Fantastic. Right. Happiness. Okay. Okay. Chandra. That's who. Mozam. Okay. peace, goals, self-development, confidence. Okay. So Mozam is here. Hi, Mozam. Knowledge, willpower. Okay. Yeah, come on. The youth should be more faster. Leadership. Yes. Great. So as you keep putting those words, I think sort of context setting is almost over. I have not set the context. You have set the context. Success to leadership development to self development to willpower to confidence to knowledge, leadership, goals, peace. All of these are words which we normally use in our day to day life, right? And that is the significance of these words, because when I say words, words are not just alphabets arranged together. Words are emotions. Words have power, right? The way I perceive things get manifested the way I express those things through my words, right? So we will talk about that today. I'm here to talk to you about conflict. In fact, when we were trying to identify the title for this session, Rohan was suggesting me the 2 year before title, which said conflict management. So I said, no, in 2 years, even I have grown, maybe a little wiser, little older. So I said, no, let's not have conflict management. Let's say dissolve your conflict. Why do we even have to have a conflict to manage it later? Why don't we even start off by saying, let's dissolve all our conflicts and then live our life towards leadership, mindfulness, knowledge, willpower, confidence, success, peace, growth, goals, self confidence, whatever. So that's going to be my focus. And I have a simple presentation to share, but let me set the ground rules. I promise you not to bore you all with my presentation, and that's the reason I've kept just 5 slides on my presentation. Okay, so I'm going to just show them as pictorial representation because I am an educator. So some people learn by listening, some people learn by doing, and some people learn by watching. So I'm trying to create all those environments here. So you can always listen to me, and you can always do it by chatting and interacting with me. And some people who want to enjoy visuals, I can share with you the slides so that you can get the picture in your mind. So that's the whole reason I have the presentation. The ground rule here is simple. The slides are going to be very limited. The interaction is going to be high. And I want you all to be as free as possible in asking questions, because I believe when we interact, when we ask questions, when we share thoughts, that's when we learn a lot. If you agree with me, as I share my screen, I want the chat window to say yes. If you agree with whatever I've said so far, come on, guys, say yes to me on the chat window. All right, as you are said yes, and I have finished sharing my screen. I hope all of you can see the screen now. Is it visible? Yes, thank you. So as I said, dissolving conflicts. Well, that's the logo under which I do my talks and sessions and workshops. CSK Speaks. CSK is the short form for Chandrasekhar, and that's my website, which is there on your screen. And after this, you won't see any of my branding because it's all about you and your conflicts, right? So dissolving conflicts, I've already set the context that we are not looking at having conflicts in our life and then resolving them, but we are looking at dissolving conflicts even before conflicts exist. So let me share with you a story, a simple example which actually happened in my own life, and I will tell you what do I mean by dissolving conflicts. So this is a real story, and I'm sharing it out of complete confidence that this matter will not reach out because I'm still working on this particular issue at my end. Now, I have a school, as the introduction was made, that I have schools across 7 states. In one of the schools, without taking the name, so the principal of the school actually decided, due to COVID and the pandemic, there is a lot of trouble going on because schools are not opening, and there are no revenues. The parents are not paying the fees. We still have to keep the ship moving. So we have come down with salary cuts. So people are paid 50%, 35% or 40% of their total salary for these few months. Once the situation becomes better, we will be increasing their salaries, because if without revenues you can't really manage. But the best part is we don't want to remove everybody from the job or anybody from the job. So with that, last 3 months we have gone for pay cuts, and this principal, for no reason, decides out of the blue that he wants to pursue another job. And there is a system to exit from a job and go. All of you are aware of it. But what he did is, without telling the management, without informing anybody, he just wound up his house, wound up his entire belongings, and then left that city, came back to his hometown, which is Hyderabad. And from here, he took up a job in Bangalore. And then he finally reported in Bangalore on the 2nd of August or 3rd of August of this month, right? Now, this was news to us, and we didn't even realize that he's not there, because it's all virtual environment now. Everything is happening work from home. You don't know if people are not physically present in the office. So it took us a while, and on 6th, I think I came to know that this has happened. So I encountered him. I called up and said, "What is happening? Where are you?" and all that. And then he was very, very diplomatic in his answers. But finally, when I hit the nail on its head and asked him, "Where are you? Tell me your location, and I want to meet you," that's when he says that I am in Bangalore and this has happened, the whole story. So I said, okay, fine. Let's not waste time talking on the telephone. Let's come and have a conversation face to face. So I invited him to come back to Hyderabad, and he said, okay, I'll come back over the weekend. So he came back yesterday, and yesterday he met me at office. We had a lengthy conversation for 2-3 hours in the morning, and finally it did not result in any proper conclusion. So he said, no, I have to go. I've already taken up the job there and I need to be there. I said, fine, but then you cannot just walk out so easily and so quickly, because it's a system and you need to follow the system. You need to provide some kind of a notice. You need to provide some kind of a handover and all of that. But he was refusing to even listen, because he simple stuck at, I have already taken up the job and I need to go. So I said, that's not going to happen. Now, when I've already told you that this is the system, if you don't want to follow the system, then you're forcing me to take action against you. And that action may be anything. It may be legal, it may be ethical, it may be moral, it may be social. But at the end of the day, you don't blame me for consequences. So he said, fine, do whatever you want, but I cannot come back. I have to be there on Monday morning. That is the new job. I said, fair enough. Then what happened was interesting. He came back and he spoke to maybe his teachers and all, because he's already spoken to them about the send off and farewell and all that. So he arranged a Zoom meeting. And in the Zoom meeting, he wanted to talk about, he met me, he took a decision, and then he is going out, and rest is for the staff members to decide. That was the agenda. Now, I got the link of the Zoom meeting, and literally, I'm telling you this without any shame, I kind of bombed the Zoom meeting by entering the Zoom meeting, because it was an open meeting and I entered there. And before even they started setting the agenda, I opened my audio and I said, good afternoon to all of you. And this is Chandrasekhar, your CEO. And thank you for sharing the link with me without taking the name, of course. And I'm more happy to be here and talk to you. Good that all of you have come together to save or stop your principal from walking out. Now, what did I do? I didn't wait for the agenda to be set. I set an agenda which said, stopping your principal from walking out. Now, all of them were in shock, because I could see all of them whose mics were on immediately becoming mute. Their videos were switching off because they didn't want to show their faces. My video was on, my mic was on, and I'm talking. And I said, Santosh, I don't know what is there on your mind. His name is Santosh, now that I've told you. Santosh, what is there on your mind? I don't know. But I want to tell you this in front of all my staff members. As a CEO, I am telling you, please come back. And I said, staff members, if you agree with me, rest, everything happens in a family. Whatever has to happen, we can sit across the table and converse and discuss. But if you agree with me, I want all of you to say, please come back on the chat window, or you can unmute and tell, please come back. And you don't believe. 72 people typing and flooding the chat window, please come back. And 10-20 people unmuting and saying, sir, when the CEO is ready to take you back and you've done something which you don't want to continue with, why don't you come back? Now, the question here is, there is no conflict. The conflict is dissolved. I don't have to fight. I don't have to take action against him. I don't have to take a legal route, or he doesn't have to fight back with me. The conflict is dissolved. And that's exactly what I mean by saying dissolving conflict. Always when we encounter a situation in our life, we try to look at, how can I win? But I want to ask you, why do you have to win? Is there something beyond it where by letting people around you win, is it not your win? Is it not your win? So when you look at a microscope, then you will see a conflict, and then you see, oh, this is a problem, and I need to solve this problem. And the only way I want to solve it is I want to win. But when you look at it through a telescope, that problem does not appear like a problem. It just appears like a part of the universe. And then you look at it as let it exist, live and let live. So that's the exact context in which I'm saying dissolving conflicts. Are you with me so far? Does it make sense? And if it is, then please share your feelings. Whatever you have on your mind, please share your feelings on the chat window. Does it make sense? Yes, no is a simple thing you can share. All right. Okay. So if you believe in dissolving conflict now with that story, then type DC on the chat window. DC, dissolving conflict. Great. Yeah. So that's a new perspective which you are taking forward from today, dissolving conflicts. Thank you so much. Now let's get going to the next slide. This is a question which I want you to look at and answer. What feelings or experience comes to your mind when you think of conflict? Don't say dissolving conflict because I've already spoken about it. So dissolving conflict is a banned word for this question. You need to give me another answer. What feelings or experiences comes to your mind when you think of conflict? It's necessary, okay. Frustration, fair enough. Anger, okay. Fear, stress. I need to finish it as soon as possible. That's right. You need to get over it. Ignorance, disagreement, inability of comprehension. You can't understand sometimes why is it happening, what is happening. Shows differences of opinion to end it soon or let it be how it is. Okay, that's a different perspective. Either you withdraw or you encounter. Afraid of having problem in relationship. How could I could have avoided it. Okay, what to do now? Lack of patience. People are having different school of thought. Disappointment. Fair enough. So different experiences and different feelings comes to your mind, and if you realize that more often than not, these experiences or these feelings comes to you almost instantly, unconsciously or subconsciously. You don't really have to work hard for that, right? It automatically comes in. It's like a autopilot mode where it comes in from you, right? So that's the beauty of these feelings. Now let's use these words, whatever you have said so far, in single words. I'm going to reconstruct and build a volcano in front of you. Okay, ready? We're going to use these words, whatever you have said so far, and build a volcano in front of you, and that is what I call as the anger volcano. Now look at this, and this also tells you the levels of anger, from where it starts and where it ends when you have a conflict. This is very important for us to understand the foundation of where the anger comes from. First, unmet needs. Some of you said, I don't know why it is happening. I don't know why the person is behaving in that manner, right? And that comes from here, unmet. So suppose I need food. Let's take a simple example. I need food. I'm hungry. Now I don't get food now. Whatever may be the reason, maybe I don't have enough stock in my house, or maybe the restaurants are not open, maybe I don't have money, whatever. Now what happens? That's a need which is unmet, and because it is unmet, I am not comfortable, I am not normal, right? So unmet is the first thing. Unmet needs is the first step for anger. Second is your feelings which you shared, frustration, lack of patience, or you feel like disappointment, ignorance. All these feelings actually build that particular anger, because there is already something which is unmet, and then you have feelings which is going to take over after that. Now you come to the anger part. Now you are actually furious. You are like, you don't know what you have to do, but you are not happy with yourself. So the anger comes in at that particular stage. But that doesn't end there. It turns, if you don't handle it there, it turns into rage. What is rage? You behave like an animal. We all have done that. Throw that thing down, or move that particular thing, or say something so nasty that you cannot take it back and you cannot erase, and that's rage. You don't really have to hit anybody, but even hurting people with your words is equivalent to rage. Then you bring it to violence, and that is the end of it, the tip of the iceberg, as they call it, the top of the volcano, where you burst out. You may be getting into a physical assault or getting into some kind of action which is irreversible. Remember, violence is often irreversible. The damage is done. You cannot even control the damage beyond a point because the damage is so much. So this is the construct of the anger volcano. So from unmet needs, it keeps building, 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 and it goes up to violence. Now, I wanted you to see this just because it sets the context for the rest of the discussion. Okay, so now let's quickly move in to the next slide. And this is the slide which I want to spend some time on. Now, this is not something which I want you to remember, but I want you to kind of stay with me and discuss this. This is where we open up for interaction. If you look at these two axes, the x-axis and the y-axis as we call it, the x-axis is the concern for the issue, substance. Okay, issue may be, in Santosh's case, he wants to go and I don't want to go, so the concern for not going and concern for going. Now the concern for relationship on the y-axis, the relationship is he has got 12 years of experience working with me and I have got 12 years of relationship working with him. We both know each other, we both enjoy working with each other, and we have worked together and grown together. So there is a relationship which is built, maybe a colleague, maybe a team member, maybe a friend, maybe a brother, right? There is a relationship which is built. Now every conflict has these two sides. The first side is the issue or the substance, and the second side is the relationship and the feeling. Now, if you look at these two sides and then put this quadrant of a 2x2 matrix, this is exactly what you get. And this, I think I don't have to explain because you know what is low, what is high, what is low, moderate, and high. But the points what I'm here looking at is, one, if you are low on the issue, that is your concern for the issue is very low. I mean, it's a petty thing, let it go. But your concern for relationship is very high. Then what you do, you accommodate, right? You accommodate. In family, you do that, right? In family, your brother or your sister or your cousin tries to do something with your favorite toy, or maybe your mobile phone gets dropped. Let's assume that your brother drops your mobile phone. Okay, the screen is shattered. Now, will you kind of ostracize your brother? No. The concern was the mobile is broken, but then the relationship is he's my brother. He might have done it intentionally or unintentionally, whatever may be the reason. I may punish him, I may scold him, I may hit him. That's a different story. But I will not say, okay, he's no more my brother, right? Because here the concern is relationship is high. So the concern for the issue is very low or maybe moderate. That's why you accommodate. But if you reverse it, where the concern for relationship is low, but the concern for issue is high. Let's take an opposite example. On the road, you're driving your bike or your car, somebody comes and bangs and breaks your tail light. Now, your concern is not for relationship. Your concern is for the issue. I don't care what you did, whether it was a mistake, whether the front guy applied brake and I stopped suddenly. It's not your problem. But my problem is my tail light is broken by you. Either you get it fixed or you pay me the cash. You get it? So that is the exact opposite, where you don't have concern for relationship, but you have concern for the issue. My tail light needs to be fixed. I don't care. Now you look at the other side. You have high concern, low concern for, moderate concern. I've told you about low and high, but you look at moderate concern, where the relationship is also equally important and the issue is also equally important. That is exactly what I did. Compromise. I split the difference. I said, whatever you have done, I'm ready to select the last 4 days or 5 days of my life and shift and delete. I will delete the whole experience, Santosh. So I don't have to hold anything against you. I'm ready to compromise. I'm splitting that. And what you do, What you have to tell your new employer is your lookout. I will not interfere. You've already signed it. You've already done what you want, but you know that that's a mistake. Now you got to go and correct it. You got to own it up. So you kind of handle that, and that's your part of the difference. So you split that to yourself. I'll split this to myself, but let's compromise and then let's coexist. Right now, that is the beginning towards collaboration. Compromise is the beginning towards collaboration, because once I start to compromise, that's when I collaborate. I mean, just take it as like this. You and I have to shake hands. You and I have to see each other on this Zoom. What is the first step? I need to log in and join the meeting. You need to log in and join the meeting. That's when we collaborate in this meeting through this window and talk to each other, right? Same way in physical world, when I want to shake hands with you, I need to approach you. Same way you need to approach me. Can you imagine I approaching you and you walking backwards? Can I shake hand? I cannot. So compromise is I am compromising from where I am to coming towards you, and you are compromising from where you are to coming towards me, and both of us meet at a halfway mark, and when we either shake hands or exchange a hug, but in COVID times we just do namaste. So collaboration comes up after compromise, and that's where I put creative problem solving. So you got to be creative there. You got to be creative and you have to solve. So if you look at this entire matrix, the only two boxes which make sense is compromise and collaborate, because in the other three boxes, no two people always win. One person wins and one person loses. You agree with me? Okay. So now I will pause here and I'll take some questions. Already there is one question from one Rotarian, Rotractor, whatever is the acronym for RTR. I think it's a Rotractor. Yeah. So Rotractor Honey Shah. And the question is how to avoid and tackle it is my question. Yeah. So the best way to avoid and tackle it is look at a common ground. Look at a common ground for starting off with a compromise. Starting off with a compromise. I don't want you to end with a compromise. I want you to start with a compromise. So let's give an example. Say I said, let's say the issue is, okay, I want to talk to my friend, but I have not spoken to him for some time now because of some past issue which I heard about him saying about me. So he has said something about me, and that kind of got to me and under my skin. So I have avoided that person all my life so far. And now I feel that I should talk to him, right? Now, if that is the situation, the first step is you have to accept that I did not confirm it myself that that person has spoken this against me or about me. Now, when you tell that to yourself, you begin to compromise. You say, maybe you start giving the benefit of doubt to that person that he might not have said. Maybe that is not what he meant. And that actually allows you to start creatively collaborating with that person. How? Maybe today is World Book Lovers Day, and you want to send a post to him and say, hey, happy Book Lovers Day because I know that you like reading books. Now the person may think, oh, out of the blue, this person is messaging me. And now that person has two choices. One, not to reply to your message, or two, nice, after a long time, at least I got back this person's message, let me respond. Okay, and once that person responds, then you don't stop there, but you start off and say, hey, listen, I have been out of touch with you for some time now. How about catching up on a chat or talking to each other and then see how it goes? Now what is happening? You're offering your hand. And once you're offering your hand, if the other person do not want to offer the hand, it's absolutely fine. But at least you don't have the guilt. You don't have the thing that I did not try. And let me tell you, the biggest thing which weighs us down, which actually pulls us down, is the guilt, is the feeling that we could have done it, but we did not want to do it. In fact, there is a great proverb which I believe in, is that having the capacity to do something and not doing it is as good as not having the capacity to do it. Let me give you an example. If you have a book, a nice book, the best book of the world, you have got it as a gift. Now, what is the use of that book if you can't read that book or if you don't want to read the book? There is no difference between you can't reading it or you do not reading it, because finally the book is not being read. So having the capacity to do something and not doing it is equal as not able to do it, right? So that's how you get to collaboration. Okay. So Kanishk has said, what if the conflict is on its extreme? How to handle it? Okay, don't worry. I'll come to that. That's a good question. I'll come to that. Then what if I know for sure that the other person is in fault and I don't want to compromise? Fair enough. This also I'll answer in these 2 points. Okay, good. So let me take you to answer these 2 questions. Now we have understood this framework. Let me go to that. Look at this. This is just the prelude to the answer. This is not the complete answer to the 2 questions from Megha and Kanish. Strength to results. Okay, you must have seen the SWOT analysis. I'm sure you all have heard of the SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But this is a framework which talks about strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and results, where I want you to focus only on 2: strengths and results. Why? Strength is internal and present, result is external and future, and 90% of the time conflict happens here. Conflict happens because I know what I am doing is right, the other person is stopping me in the present, so I don't agree with that person. And then result, I want to do this but somebody is stopping me, so I don't want to get into that particular person's influence. So the conflict do not have, see, now if I say I want to travel to US, there is no conflict. It's your aspiration. I want to create another opportunity for somebody. I want to give this job or I want to take up that job. I don't think there is a conflict there. The conflict comes here between strength and result. So in these 2 boxes is where the conflict exists. Okay. So now let's explain how this happens. For that, I need to actually stop sharing the screen and explain you a particular model. So give me a second and I will do that. So this 5 slides ends here, so you don't have to worry about that. So let me stop sharing and let me share with you my screen. Just give me a second. Okay, so you can see my screen now. Yeah, so what do you read on the screen? Dissolving conflicts. Okay, fair enough. So now those 2 questions from Kanishk and I think Medha. So how do we actually do this? Now remember this. Okay, it's a triangle I have drawn. And I want you to go back to independence. It's a good thing that you started off our meeting today with the national anthem. So let's go back to independence. Okay. Now, prior to independence, that is prior to 1947, there were people in India still existing, citizens of India. And these citizens of India always had 2 options. Option number 1 is to accept the British rule, accept that kind of bullying, accept their dominance, accept the entire whatever they were trying to do with these people, that is our Indian people, and say, okay, we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. Let's do whatever they ask us to do. Now, that was one side of the story. But some of them in that also felt, okay, why should I get this suffering? Let me join the British side in terms of being a part of their army or their officers and work for them. At least that way they will exploit me, but exploit me less. So that was one category of people. 100% getting exploited, and 2, 50% getting exploited. Now the second part was people who were, why will I be exploited by these 2 people or these kind of people? It is my nation, it is my country, I am born here, I am the citizen of this nation. Who are they to come and spoil me or exploit me? And those are the kind of people who we call as freedom fighters, whether it is Mahatma Gandhi or Bhagat Singh or Chandrasekhar Azad or Jawaharlal Nehru or Ambedkar or anybody. I mean, so many, Sardar Patel, all of these people, right? Now, what is the difference between these 2 people? The situation was the same. The situation was the same, but the situation being the same, that is, we were in without independence, people reacted in two different ways to the same situation. To the same situation. Why? Because they wanted a different result. You understood? They wanted a different result. Some people said, let them exploit, but let them exploit me less. And some people said, let them exploit, but let them exploit me none, nil at all. Okay, so that's the point. So the result, just see the screen, result is always given to you by the emotion. Okay, let me explain. There is a part between emotion and result, and that is called action. So you have an emotion, you act in a particular manner, and then you get the result. So this formula everybody understands: emotion, action, result. But the bigger problem is how to deal with emotions. Right? Now that's what I want to explain here. And you put the emotion here in the center. And I am going to tell you, if you can use this triangular model, you can control your emotion. You can change your emotion, and you can command your emotion at your will. Are you interested to learn that? Hey guys, are you sleeping now? Come on, I need answers. I told you I won't bore you, but I think I'm boring you. Okay. So if you want to command emotions at your will, then the first thing is this. You need to change the meaning to the situation. Remember, situation is the same. It's the meaning you attach to that situation which makes a situation positive or negative. Okay, now let me give you an example. I'm staying in the 5th floor, and I stay not in a gated community. I stay in an ordinary apartment, and I don't have a great lift. I have a normal collapsible door lift. Now that lift, like every human being, takes a break every now and then. Okay, twice in a week it doesn't work. Now every single time I have something to do, and these days because of COVID, none of the delivery guys are allowed upstairs. Everybody will drop everything down and go. Now what happens? I need to walk down, pick up my parcel, and then come back. Now the situation is same. I have two choices. The first choice of meaning is, oh my God, why will I go down every time 5 floors and come back? It is such a disaster. It is such a pain. It is such a waste of time. Or the other way is, oh, I can go down and come back, but I don't have to work out extra because this itself is counting as my workout. 2 times, if I go up and down, anyway, I have to go and get the parcel. I'm not going to leave my parcel down at the gate. So if I use that, then I don't have to work out. So let me use this and do it. So whenever my lift is gone, I don't go for my morning cycling. I do the workout at home. So it's the meaning you attach to the situation which actually changes the emotion. Now the same activity of going down and coming up is no more a pain. It's not a pleasure either, but it is not a pain. Right? So it's the meaning you attach to the situation. I've said that. And then if you talk about it, the meaning can be positive, the meaning can be negative, right? So the meaning decides the situation and then the emotion. So that's one part to this particular thing. Now the second part. Here you talk about focus. Okay. What is the focus I'm talking about is, so let's say, how many of you came to know about this plane crash in Kerala, Kozhikode airport, which happened day before yesterday? Okay. Now I want to ask you a question. When you looked at that, if you watched that news, when you looked at it, what is the thought you got in your mind? When you saw it or when you read about it, what is the thought you got in your mind? Come on, go ahead. Tragic. Okay. Any other thought? Disastrous. Worst, it was sad, depressing, correct? Okay, great. All wonderful answers. Now, you got these thoughts. What are the images you saw? Those of you who did not see a live TV news or any video, but you read about it or you heard about it, what are the images it came to your mind? What images you saw? A plane crash. What images you saw? Or even if you have seen the image, what image did you see? Wreckage,
Something.
death, plane divided into two halves, rescue team operations, fire. Now, wait a minute, stop here. So you got these thoughts, the thought of disaster, sadness, and then you saw the images, and the images of wreckage, plane broken, people running around, helter skelter, thoughts and images. Stay there. So focus is coming from thoughts and from images. Suppose I show you a nice, pleasant picture today, a baby crying or a baby giggling or in the cradle. What thought comes to your mind? A lovely sunrise. What thought comes to your mind? Because the photograph or the image is creating a thought. And because of the image, the thought gets created, and then the focus happens that you're focusing on the sunrise or the sunset or the baby. So focus actually is comprising of thoughts and imagination. Now, what if you control those thoughts and you control those imaginations? So ask yourself, simple step, what are the thoughts that comes to me that are depressing or disturbing or irritating or frustrating? And at that time, when you are depressing, disturbing, irritating or frustrating, what images come into your mind? Now change that. Change those thoughts and change those images, then you change the focus. So now coming to conflict, that is emotions. Suppose you have a particular person and that person's face, that person's name, that person's thought itself is disturbing because you don't like that person anymore, you have a conflict. Replace the thought. There were good times with the same person, because that's why the conflict is. The good times were there and it is over, and now the bad times have started, and say because of that you are not able to cope up with that emotional trauma. So you change the thought, you change the image, the good times when you had coffee with that person, or when you went for a drive, or when you actually shared a good joke, and then replace. Now the focus suddenly changes to this person is not all that bad, he's also good or she's also good. That's all we want, because the minute your focus changes, your emotion changes. Your emotion changes. And once the emotion change, you are in control, because emotion leads to action, action leads to results. Right? So focus. The third and the final piece. I hope Kanishk and Medha, are you with me? You are following, and is it helping your answers? Okay. Now the third one is interesting, and this is your body. Your body, physical body. Okay, it's your physical body. What do I mean by this? You know, the power is within. We all know this. We keep hearing this. Whatever you are is the result of the power inside of you, not outside of you. We have heard this. But that's not about inspiration and motivation, it's about action. So, physical body. Now, there are some times in the day when you feel low on energy, when you feel drained. Yeah. For example, you have had a long day at college, or maybe if you're working at work, and then you come back at 6:30, 7 in the evening, all drained. You never got chance to eat your lunch, you had an extra call or you had extra lecture, you finished all that 6:30, 7 o'clock, you come, and then you just put your bag, you sit down or actually collapse on the couch, and then your father, your mother, or your sister, your brother, or your wife, if you have one, or husband, they tell you that, come on, let's finish off cleaning up the kitchen in our house or the bedroom in our house right now.
अटेंडेंस चाहिए उनको.
How will you feel? You will be not ready to do anything now, because you feel you are not going to do anything. But just convert that into another option where you come back, same thing, long day, long work, skipped your lunch, no time for yourself, you came back, you are drained, you are just jumping on the couch, you're just collapsing, and your sister, your husband, your wife, or your father, mother, brother, friend comes and says, hey, I have taken a ticket to the movie or something, and let's go. Now what happens? Suddenly you sit straight. Which movie? When we are we going? Who is the hero? Who is the heroine? What show is it? Who's coming? Who all are going? Now what happens? You change the body, you change the way you are sitting, you are sitting straight, and you're jumping out, and the energy is suddenly changed. The day has not changed, your day has been the same. You are as tired as you were the earlier scenario also, but the energy changes. Why? Your body changes, your body reacts to it. That means your emotions control the body. Because movie is fun, cleaning is not fun. If emotions control the body, can the body not control the emotion? Let's do a simple experiment. All of you might be sitting somewhere. I want you all to sit straight now. Don't slouch, sit straight. Sit straight. Okay? And when you sit straight, you take deep breath. Okay? Don't breathe from your throat or from the surface. Take it from your gut. Close your eyes. I'm not asking you to meditate. Open your eyes and take deep breath. No meditation. I don't believe in meditation on the live Zoom. You can meditate in the mornings or evenings when you are alone. But take deep breaths and talk. Or just take deep breaths and sit straight. And then the third thing what I wanted to do is smile. Smile. Yeah, just smile. It's okay. I can't see you, but you can see me. Smile. I'm seeing at you and I'm smiling back at you. Smile. Now you just did three things. You sit straight or stand straight, take deep breath, and then you smile. Suddenly your energy comes back to you, right? Your energy is coming back to you. Okay, let me give you another example. You know, Sachin Tendulkar or any cricketer or any footballer, how are they so energetic all the time, even when their team is losing the game? Not winning. Winning, everybody gets energy. When they are losing the game, what happens is they practice this being straight, strong shoulders, taking deep breaths, and smiling. So even in a crisis situation, they are looking the same. They are shoulders strong and straight, deep breaths, and smiling. So with this, what happens? Their physical body controls the emotion, and emotions control the action, and actions create the results. So physical body gives you the reaction, focus gives you the thing, and all controls the emotion. And with this, you come back to this equation, and that equation is emotion gives you the result. So that's the simple way of explaining how you can dissolve the conflict by staying in control of the emotion and making the action arising out of emotion and giving the result. So this is what I have got to answer for these questions. With this, I have come to the end of my presentation of what I have to explain to you with dissolving conflict, but I'm open for any questions or any comments. Thank you very much for your patient listening, and I really enjoyed engaging and interacting with all of you. Okay, so there is a question here. Let's take this. Okay, let me uh, read it. How do you handle interactions after conflict is managed? It is said that forgive but not forget. Okay, so it's like this. This is not conflict management. This is emotional baggage. Once the conflict, I mean, let me tell you this. You have a problem to solve, a mathematical problem, and you find the solution. Once you have found the solution and you know that that is the right solution, will you remember the problem statement? Will you remember the problem statement? No, because you found the solution and you have answered it. Why will you bother about the problem statement? Now apply that to this question. If you have found the solution to the conflict, why are you bothered about the conflict anymore? It's over. It's over. That's not conflict resolution or conflict management or dissolving conflict. That's emotional baggage. Now tell me one thing. If you keep carrying emotional baggage and keep going forward, overweight leads to reduced pace, leads to lot of obesity and stress and other things. Why do you want to do all that? It's not just the body which becomes obese, even the mind becomes obese. What happens? Body becomes slow, mind also becomes slow. It can't work, it can't react, it can't think, it can't reciprocate, it can't imagine. So it's not forgive and not forget, it's forget and forgive. Forget and forgive. Okay, thank you, Atharva. Yeah. Any other questions?
So Chandra, I have one question.
Yes, Rohan.
So tomorrow, if I have a conflict with my superior or my senior, so unfortunately, I cannot, respond him in a way which I can respond him to my junior. So, and I know from my part that, he is wrong, but somewhere it is going to ego clash also, just because of the seniority.
Yeah.
So, in this particular sense, how to get to the win-win situation?
Very good. Very, very good question. And this is normally the situation which all of us go through, because we don't have conflict with people of our age or our level. We have conflict with my mother, my father, or my boss, or my superior, or my senior, or my junior, and that's when we actually don't know how to handle it. So, very good question. And the simple answer is this. Number one, whenever you have a conflict and you know you are right, how? Look at the question which has come from Kanishk. To what extent should we compromise? That's a very good question, Kanishk. I will say you can only compromise to the extent where your values are not compromised. Okay, let me complete. You can only compromise to the extent where your values are not compromised. Now, what do I mean by this? Let me give you an example. Now, for me, honesty is the best policy. That's my value system. I can't help it. I have been brought up like that. I have grown up like that. I have assumed that honesty is the best policy and I believe in it. Now, it may be right, it may be wrong. I don't care. But for me, it is right. Now, as long as I know that honesty is the best policy and that is my value, I will not compromise on that. I will. It may be not true that Rohan has spoken ill about me, may not be true, but I heard it from somebody and I'm honest that that person told me this. So I'm going to tell to Rohan, I have a problem with you because I heard it from this person. I don't want to take the name of the person, but I heard it from somebody and I think you must have told it. So I'm coming and encountering you. Now, what's happening? I am being honest and I'm not compromising on my values. Now, with that in the context, let's come to Rohan's question. Rohan says, what and how will I handle this problem if it is my superior or my boss? I will say, as you're not going to compromise on the values, your values will actually give you the strength to stand your ground. Because you're protecting your values will protect you. And that I cannot explain in words, you have to experience it. Now that you're protecting your values, when you are in front of your superior or when you are in front of your boss or mother or father, do these three things. Number one, don't tell feelings, tell facts. Facts, not feelings. Number two, always be polite. Even if it is your inferior or if you're somebody who's subordinate, be polite. Respecting a person for the person he is or she is more important than what they have done. So first, facts, not feelings. Two, be polite. And three, have an assertive voice. When I say assertive voice, all of us know about assertive voice. We mean what we say. We don't want to say something which we don't mean. So if you follow these three steps, I don't think you will have a problem. You may not win the conflict. You may lose it because the boss or the subordinate will say, it's okay, you may be right, but I will do what I want. That is the power coming in. It's not about the conflict. But the point here is you have represented yourself in a proper way. Have I answered you, Rohan? Okay, there is another question which says, what if we have conflict due to difference in ideology with a person? Now, that is always there. I mean, today, if you look at the Indian politics, you have a system where somebody believes secularism is right and somebody believes secularism is wrong. So, ideological differences are there. So, at the end of the day, we have to learn to coexist. Now, you set your common ground rules. It's like this. Now, I may not like to talk to people without a presentation, but your framework may not allow me to have a presentation. Then we may have to come to a thing saying that, okay, at least I'll show a poster, I'll show a picture. So I'm coming up with some kind of a ground rule where it is valid for me and valid for you, and at that time, for that part of the relationship, both of us will honor the ground rule. So if you have an ideological difference, you have to learn to coexist and work together for that particular objective. The objective decides you working together.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah. So as we like have in table topics, we have a specific format PREP for conveying our points. So when I want to convey my point in conflict resolution or conflict management, is there a process, or is there a effective way in which I can put my point forward? So do you have some tips on that?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question, but unfortunately, I don't have a formula to offer you. The reason is, see, conflicts often varies from people to people, and even within people, it varies from situation to situation. Because I might have a one kind of a conflict with my brother, I might have another kind of a conflict with my boss. I might behave in a different way with my brother for the same kind of conflict on a Monday and on a Saturday, because it's all emotional, it's all kind of involved with people. And it, as I showed you in the triangle, it's different thing, my body physiology, my meaning, what I attach to the situation, and also the focus, what I'm focusing on. So I don't have a formula to give you, but however, I can tell you this: whenever you are handling or trying to dissolve a conflict, keep this approach, which will always be handy. The approach is respecting the human being for being a human being. Don't try to go below the belt, don't try to demean and try to make such statement. In fact, my dad always tells this, and I want to repeat that here: your words are like pearls. Once you break them, you cannot make them back. So once you shoot your word, it's like an arrow, you cannot take back your arrow. It may hit the target, it may not hit the target, but once you have shot it, you have shot it. So be very, very careful before speaking those words. In the fit of anger, in the heat of the moment, we may end up saying anything. We may abuse people, we may go to shaming them, or character assassination, or whatever it is. But that's the problem. So always remember this: we are not going to say anything which we regret later. That's the best formula. And with that, talk to facts, stick to facts, and talk about that. Okay, Atharva? Thank you.
I've got a question, Mr. Chandrasekhar.
Yes.
So, talking about this managing conflicts, how can one be a good arbitrator amid, resolving the conflicts of not yours but somebody else's? Talking specifically about construction sector, because I belong to that fraternity by profession. So, where not everybody is poised head or very educated at the same time. So, how can we be a good arbitrator?
Well, I think by nature, we are all good arbitrators, because
Correct.
when it is coming to pinpointing at somebody's mistake, we do it very easily and effortlessly. But at the same time, as you've asked me that, it's a good question. I think the one thing which we need to know, we need to do and know when we are arbitrators, when we are in the middle, where we don't belong to either side, and we are trying to kind of resolve something. I think the operating word there is fairness. Be fair. Okay, be fair to the last letter. Be fair. When I say be fair, what do I mean? Don't have prejudiced mind. Okay, don't try to mix emotions with the facts. When I say that, now suppose you're looking at your friend on one side, even he is another friend, it is very common before you conclude to say, okay, if I say this, what will he think, how will he think? If I say this, what will she think, how will she think? Right? And how is that? Now it's okay to think what will they think, but the next part is the problematic part. The next part is, whatever they think, how is that going to affect me in the long run? Suppose I take, who is more powerful, so I'll take the side of the powerful guys. Or who is more beneficial to me, I'll take the side of the beneficial guy. Because this all comes in, if I take my decision, who will benefit, who won't benefit? From there, how will I benefit, how will I not benefit? And if you get into that, that is dangerous territory, because you are not deciding on the face and the fact of the case, but you are deciding on what is in it for me. And the minute you decide on what is in it for me, it is no more a fair decision. So always catch yourself, resist the temptation of asking who is going to be more beneficial to me, because if you ask that, then your decision is always going to be biased. And it actually happens in a fraction of a second. It doesn't happen over days. It's like, when you look at somebody in the interview table, within 5 seconds or 10 seconds, you know that this person is this person is that, this person is this. And then the rest of the interview goes in validating whatever you have assumed about that person. Justifying. So don't do that. But thank you very much. Good question. Okay, so I think, Rohan, I'm well past my time and I have answered a few questions and I don't see any more questions coming in. So I will hand it back to you. Thank you, Rohan.
Thank you.
Thank you all of
so
you.
much. Thank you so much, Chandra, for joining us in the second chapter and enlightening us with your practical experience as well. So, like I said, Chandra's USP is to have new experiences every time he brings a session to us. So I have attended many sessions from him. I also follow him on YouTube also, and he speaks on multiple platforms related to education, related to Rotary, Rotaract, Toastmasters. On the same note, I definitely would say that I have introduced him as a speaker, as a leader, but now I would like to just say two things about rather I would say the three words that he is what he is as a mentor. The three words are the right way leader. He actually showcased and actually taught us, mentored us that it is always the right way over the easy way and the right way over any way. So that is something that Chandra brings on the table every time he speaks with us. So many thank you, Chandra, for joining us on our second session of the Vivekananda series. And one thing I would like to give you before we have any other session of our Rotaract also, and that is a small appreciation from our part. I would like to share the screen immediately. 1 second. Just 1 second. Yeah. So this is a small token of appreciation from us, Chandra, since we cannot actually physically meet. So at least then e-certificate would do as of now.
Thank you.
But many thank you, Chandra, for joining us and giving us the value that cannot be measured, I would say. Many thank you. Many thank you. Thank you so much, Chandra. And I would like to also acknowledge so many district officers from our Rotaract district 3131 also. And we have a club joining from Bangalore, that is your hometown as well. So
yeah,
so
I did see some of them asking one question and it came as Bangalore. So yeah. I did see them. Thank you.
So we have multiple clubs, and when we shared the profile, so all of them were like, okay, now this is going to session, no matter what happens, we are going to go for this session. So this is something, your charm, as we say, is
I hope I did not disappoint all of them. I hope I have lived up to your expectations.
Absolutely. So we have our deputy district Rotaract representative, that is Drishti. She is also a very good friend. Our area director, Rashmi Singh's sister. So she is there. We have district RRO PDD also. She is also co-PDD from our side and co-host also for us. That is Rotaractor Karishma from Shaniwarwada Club. We have Dvijesh Nashikkar, who is also the secretary. And we also had our AZR Sanskriti. I think she dropped off sometime, maybe. But thank you all of you district officers for joining us. And apologies if I have missed out anyone. But this is one of the most amazing sessions, Chandra, on personal side I have been attending to. And if anybody of the district officers have any comments to share, please be our guest. Do go ahead, please. You can unmute yourselves and go ahead, please. Yeah.
Okay, shall I begin?
Yes,
or is there anyone who wants to speak?
Please.
Okay. Thank you, Rohan. And so myself, I'm Rotaractor Drishti Singh, sister of Rashmi Singh. And I was just having a word with her about Rohan and Chandra. And she was telling me how, diligently you guys have worked in Toastmasters. So kudos to both of you, especially Chandra. Your session was really amazing. I was there for some part of it, and conflict resolution is something that each leader should learn and adapt in a good manner. So thank you so much for being here in Rotract, and we are grateful to you, and to Sanket and Rohan and other um, clubs who have joined us. I hope you have made the most out of this session, and thank you so much, Rohan, for inviting me. And I was skeptical about coming, but once I got to know that both of you are closely related to my sister, then there was no second doubt. So thank you so much, and all the best.
Thank you, Drishti.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
If any of the co-presidents or the
I would request all the
would like
other
to-
district council members, if they've got something to say, and the respective club presidents, Protractor Aloka Kale, Protractor Hamid, Protractor Preeti, Protractor Ishika, Protractor Siddhi, Protractor Shivani, Protractor Aditya, Protractor Chirantan, and Protractor Ayush from all the collaborating clubs. If they've got something to say, some comments, please unmute yourselves.
Hi, Sanket.
Hi, Hamid.
Sanket, yes, Rotractor Hamid is here, president of RSC Young. So yes, thank you so much for this session actually, and thank you so much approaching us for this. And जैसे I would like to add something here. जैसे मेरा साहिल से बात हुआ था about the session, so I was like अरे 2 hour का session है, इतना मतलब कैसे हो जाएगा, इतना टाइम कौन रुकता है जनरली अपने यहाँ पे ऑनलाइन, ठीक है. But the way session is हुआ है अभी, it's really informative, and I can must say कि last 1 month में it is a first session जो काफी what you can say informative and amazing रहा है. So thank you so much once again, speaker, and you too.
Thank you very much, Hamid.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you're audible.
First of all, I would really like to thank Dr. Chandrasekhar for his very insightful session. My members really enjoyed it, and they really gained a lot of exposure. We really thank you for the session. I would also like to thank RC Varje for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Siddhi, you're audible.
Yeah, hi, myself Rotractor Siddhi. I'm the president for Rotract Club of Pune Shaniwar Vada. Firstly, thank you Rotract Club of Pune Varje for collaborating and asking us to collaborate on this. It was really amazing session. It was really informative as it was situation based. And thank you, Dr. Chandrasekhar sir. You were really amazing. That helped a lot. The situation based process was really amazing to help know us more about the situations. Thank you for
Siddhi.
collaborating, sir.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Retractor Preeti Das, President of Rotract Club of Pune Royal. First and foremost, thank you Rotract Club of Varje for giving us this opportunity to collaborate, and thank you Dr. Chandrasekhar for delivering such an insightful session. It was really amazing as well as interactive though.
Thank you, Preeti. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, Aloka.
So good morning. This is Rotractor Aloka Kare, President of Rotract Club of Yuva Next. I would like to say that the real life examples which Dr. Chandrasekhar gave were more helpful in actually dealing with problems, more practical based than theoretical, which would, I think, benefit all of us. And I would also like to thank Rotract Club of Pune Varje for the collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alok.
Thank you, thank you. We have some friends from Toastmasters, that is Mozam and Ravina also. Ravina is a member of Rotract Club Pune Aund as well. So if any comments from Mozam and Ravina, I would love to hear them as well.
Hi, this is Mozam, Toastmaster Mozam.
Hi, Mozam.
Hey, Chandra. Chandra, big fan of the way you speak, especially this topic of conflict management or the diffusion of conflict now. And I see a clear progress, as you mentioned in the beginning. I've attended your conflict management session and today the diffusion part of it. I really love the change, the delta among these two sessions. I'm really happy that a lot of youngsters are getting to learn these things like much earlier in their days. Before they actually come across professional conflicts, they will have these tools with them so that they can take care of things much in advance rather than getting stuck somewhere, feeling frustrated, and then coming to a solution. I think it's a very good start.
Thank you. Thank you, Mozam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mozam. If we have any more comments, we can definitely share it to Chandra on WhatsApp as well. If possible, I can share you his number or email address is more preferable, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
email you can give them, or I can actually put the email on the chat window.
Yes, please.
So that way it will be easy. Yeah, that's my email to everyone. So feel free to write to me. I'll be more than happy to get back to you. But give me 48 hours.
Sure. So thank you, Chandra, for joining us. And let's carry forward with the Rotaract agenda. Now, Sanket, can we go ahead?
Yeah, so moving ahead with the agenda, the forum is